for joining us today. As mentioned in the email, we're going through donor prospecting and campaign management. What we'll be looking at today is facilities that are already on your system, and also some statistics that have already been collected and are already available on your site. So it's nothing that we're trying to get you to expand for your system. It's already all there. So the demonstration that you can see on your screen now is actually part of a much longer demonstration, but I'm just going to grab some components out of it that are relevant for what we'll be talking about today. If you have any questions at all, just type them into the chat window down in the bottom right-hand corner, as most of you have found. I just keep the microphones muted because often there can be a lot of background noise, so we can release anyone if they want to ask a question verbally, but yeah, just communicate through the chat window. So what we're going to look at now as we get started is just a bit of an introduction into why we're trying to tie in engagement into fundraising. And you know, a lot of people out there are running databases that obviously track donations and things like that, and there are a lot of databases out there available for that sort of thing, but most of those databases are actually designed for charities. And the big difference between a school community and fundraising from a school community and charities is that people in a school community actually care about those around them, whereas people donating to charities don't really care about the other people donating to charities. So we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between a school community and a charity community. So just to get started, if I just load this screen up again. Okay, so in a very simple representation of what we're talking about here, you're saying that you've got your entire community, which is represented by the large circle, and inside that entire community are the people who are willing to give back. And if we just have a closer look at what defines someone willing to give back, that obviously is someone willing to donate, someone willing to volunteer expertise, someone who saves time for administrators, and someone willing to volunteer their time. The interesting thing about the people willing to save time for administrators is that that's something that they can do without even realizing it. So, you know, just by logging in and updating their email address and mobile phone number is obviously saving time for the administrators, and that's something they do as just part of being involved in an online community. The point that we're trying to make with the potentiality system and our philosophy on engagement is that all those people who are willing to give back are a subset of the people who are willing to engage. So the philosophy is that if you focus on engaging them first, then you have all the time in the world to then try and get something back from them. So if you just go for the ask straight away, then obviously you're going to alienate a lot of people, and it won't be overly successful. But if you focus on engaging first and then over time developing a relationship and getting them engaged in the community as a whole, then obviously the ask is going to be a whole lot easier. So that obviously is going to increase the amount of people willing to give back. And so we've just had a question about the percentages of the average number of community members willing to give back. There's a lot of statistics available online about that sort of thing, and that might be a question we can ask later because I don't have any of those statistics here. But the general philosophy of what we're trying to point out here is that in general terms across school communities, the percentage of people giving back is a fraction compared to the entire community. So you know, if you're looking at the potential givers in your community versus the people who are giving back, the potential givers will always be far greater than the people actually giving back. And so rather than focusing on the givers, what we're trying to do is focus on the people who aren't giving and seeing if there's a way to try and turn them into givers. And that's where we introduce the philosophy of locate, engage, advance. So donations, as an example, is part of the advance, but there's these other components that are very important within an educational community to make sure that we're going out and reaching new people, connecting with them, engaging them, getting them involved, and then the advancement is actually an end point rather than a focal point. And to illustrate that, we'll just go through to another slide here, and we've created this bit of a diagram in order to try and show this point. And the philosophy is that it's a pipeline. And on the far left-hand side, you've got your uncontactable alumni, the people that may have had no connection with the school in any way since leaving the school. And what we're trying to do is locate them. And we've got a number of modules that we have embedded into our product, but also there's numerous ways that you can locate people. And that's really the legwork. That's going out there and finding them and reaching out and getting back in touch. And so once you can get in touch with them, then they become the directly contactable alumni. And that's why we represent them in the balloon, because they're people that you can reach out and communicate with at any point in time. Then you have the ongoing process, which is the little brain work in here, which is the ongoing process of trying to come up with ways to engage them and make them feel connected and get them involved in the community, which obviously then leads them into engaged and appreciative alumni, which are people you can get something back from at the end, which is obviously the advancement. So we can actually, I will show a couple of slides that I'll skip through, but this is actually talking about social networking. I won't go into too much detail here because it's not really relevant to this particular conversation, but it's just to show the place that social networking has in this whole scheme of things, because when you look at locate, engage, advance, social networks are fantastic at locating. They're okay at engaging, but people only engage in things that they want to be engaged in, so they're not going to engage in things that you're trying to get across to them. And the specific example here is you can see that there's a video on this particular client's page, which is one of our clients in Scotland, and you can see that they've got 40 likes and 14 comments. So that's going viral on Facebook, but it's just a video of teachers mucking around, whereas when they're actually promoting their events, they only get 1 like. So it does engage, but only in things that they're interested in, and as far as advancement goes, it's pretty poor. And another thing that we need to define here is the difference between targeting and broadcasting. Social networks are brilliant at broadcasting. They broadcast far and wide, but if you want to make sure that any specific person finds out about a specific event, you wouldn't really just post it on the wall and hope that they saw it. You'd want to send an email or text and make sure that they actually saw that. So it's another interesting point, is to make sure that we define what the difference between targeted and broadcasting, and obviously effective communication is broadcasting and targeting. So just one of our clients, how they've used this effectively is Scotch College, and again we won't go into this in too much detail, but you can see that they've got a live conversation on Facebook, and that is broadcasting this invitation to the event out to hundreds of thousands of people. And if we just have a look at the settings on that page, because it's a Facebook conversation on your website, you can control how it's seen, and you can see we've got a moderation mode, let me approve each comment before it appears. So you've got lots of different options, but obviously that's the extreme option, which is approving every comment as it appears. And then that appears in Facebook as you see it there, so people can see this event and interact with the event, and that's going out to hundreds of thousands of people. But what if you don't want hundreds of thousands of people actually knowing all the details about the event? Well, that's why we take them through, when they click on that, to a public version of the event where we tell them basic details about the event, and then make them log in and register in order to collect that information. So what that's actually doing is getting them connected with the community. So the key here is that those stats there are monthly new users. So these are the live stats from Scotch, and they've got peaks on their monthly new users associated with each of those events that they ran. And they also said here they had a 50% increase in the number of ticket sales for their events. So when we look at this, you're talking about Facebook being the locating mechanism, and the engagement is the event itself. The event is the reason for them to log in, and the advancement is the fact that they're actually connecting with the community, updating their details, and getting involved. So that's really an example of how you can use social networks for what they're actually good for, which is the location and the broadcasting, but then controlling what happens and getting the benefit from that engagement. So if we come back and have a look at this diagram we were looking at before, you can see that we drop events into every single one of these categories, because events are one of those unique things that you can do in your community that locate, engage, and advance all in the one hit if you do it correctly. But in the potentiality system, you can obviously get that same effect in lots of different ways. So we have all these modules that are focused on locating, we have all these modules that are focused on engagement, and then we have all these modules that are focused on advancement. So any particular user can make their way through this in the way that they choose. So we've got, for example, the Lost Member Search Engine, which can go out into Facebook and contact thousands of your alumni, and when they receive that message in a lost member search engine, they might get involved in the business directory, and that's the way that that particular person chooses to be engaged. And then when they're on the system, they might see that they can offer to be an alumni mentor, so they can then give something back to the community in that way. But the point is that every single user's path might be different. They can choose exactly how they want to go from the left to the right, but the most important thing is that they are going from the left to the right. You're getting your uncontactable alumni, and then you're getting their advancement on the right-hand side. And this is leading, I've taken a little bit of a roundabouts approach to what we're talking about today, because the really critical thing here is that all these engagement statistics are being collected and gathered and rated and displayed on your site. And those are the engagement statistics that you can see down the bottom. And really what's fundamental about this is if you're going to try and rate how engaged someone is in your community, then you're just wanting to let them choose how they want to be engaged, but as long as you've got your finger on the pulse and you're tracking which events they attend, or if they become a part of the business directory, if they look up the archive facility, or even just play a game, that's a fantastic way of rating how engaged they are in your community. So when we have a look at what that can do for you. So now we're on to the topic of donor prospecting. And when you talk about donor prospecting, there's two factors which are going to dictate if and how much someone contributes back to your community. One is their propensity to give, and the other is their capacity to give. So if they have a high propensity to give, they might give $5 or $1,000, but how much they give is obviously going to be a large influencer on that will be their capacity and their disposable income. So first of all, we'll talk about their propensity to give. So this is how we use these engagement statistics. So someone might come along and register for an event. They might offer to be a mentor. They might request to get mentoring. They might even just play a competition. These are all ways of actually engaging or rating how engaged someone is in your community. And so in the engagement timeline, which you all have available on your sites, you can see that we've got a sample of things here that are inputted onto that engagement timeline. And if we go in and actually zoom in there, you can see that this person registered for a couple of events, they joined a competition, they logged into the site, they've sent and received emails. All this information is being collected and displayed. And so, for example, this is the Outlook integration that we have. That's a new feature that's been released. And what it means is if you receive an email from an alumni, the Outlook integration automatically looks up your site, makes sure that they're a community member, and then pops up a little panel. And on that panel, you can have a look at all their information. But what's most important is that you're engaging with this particular alumni or parent or community member on Outlook, but it's all being tracked in your engagement statistics. Just logging in, so you can see there if they just log into the online community, that's being tracked. You can see we've got event attendance. Any attendances to events is obviously being tracked. Games and competitions, I mean, that's something that previously wasn't really relevant when it came to donations and fundraising. But if you look at the perspective of trying to find those people who are engaged in your community, it's absolutely critical. People who are just mucking around and being social with their friends in a game or a competition is a fantastic way of seeing if they're highly engaged. And not only that, if at some point you wanted to go in and go in for the big ask on this person, you're not just going in with a cold call and saying, how about you make a donation? You're having a conversation with him and saying, hey, I saw you played the footy competition the last 3 years, or I saw that you took part in the Oscars competition. How did that go? Did you enjoy it? I see you, connected with your friends. And that actually leads them into a conversation starter, but also saying to them, hey, you're getting something out of this community. Why don't you give something back? So it really is a fantastic way of leading into the big ask. If you actually want to go in for the big ask is how we'll identify the big donors in a couple of minutes. And so what we do is provide that to you in an engagement leaderboard, and that's what you can see here on the right. This particular one is for Haileybury, and you can see that Russell, who some of you will know from Haileybury, is up the top, and that's not a big surprise because he's the executive director of the whole Old Haileyburyans Association, so not surprisingly he's at the top, but then all those other people there are highly engaged members of the community. So that's how we try to identify propensity to give, which is obviously the people who are more engaged in the community are going to be more willing to give something back. Now is where we get into the interesting stuff. This is an engine that has been run on all our sites in the last couple of weeks, and basically what it does is tie in their residential address with the census statistics from 2011, and that's obviously the Australian census on the left. We've got the UK census there available on the right, and what we're doing is just collecting all this information based on their residential address, and obviously it's not 100% accurate, but it's going to give you a pretty fair idea on the capacity of any of these individuals to donate to a campaign. So you can see we've got a screen grab here of we've looked up one particular user here. There's 181 private houses in that region, and this is what the census returns for us. So we've gone in with addresses, looked up this information, and returned the median weekly household income. So that's their capacity to give statistics, and what we then do is we put that all together. So that now is showing to you the donor prospecting tab, and this is a tab that is available on all your sites. And if you go in and have a look at that tab, you'll see we've got capacity to give up the left-hand side, we've got propensity to give across the bottom, and the people that you're after are the people in the top right-hand corner. High capacity, high propensity, and key donor targets. So we'll have a live look at that right now. So I'm now just switching across to the Wesley's donor prospecting tab, and thanks to Jack who's in on this call for allowing us to have a look at this information. But we're just going to have a look at how their donor prospecting is developing. So you can see we've got a whole collection of nodes here. So this is their entire community that we've gathered information on. Not surprisingly, the person out on the far right-hand side is Rebecca Morley, who's one of their staff in the office and also an old Wesley Collegian. And so for the same reasons as Russell, she's obviously going to be out in the high rating of engagement. But what we can do there is I'm just using one of the sliders to zoom in on the data, and you can see now that we're getting a better representation of how their community looks. So the capacity information is information drawn in from the census. It's all publicly available information, and the engagement information is the information that's going to change over time. So the more you engage with your community, the more events that you run, the more games that you run, any type of community engagement that you do through the potentiality system or outside the potentiality system, but keeping the data updated in potentiality, then this is where this information becomes more and more accurate. So if we just wanted to have a look at one particular user here, then we can click on that profile and go through to their donor tab. And what this is showing us is the information that has been collected there. So we have a couple of ratings of capacity and propensity, and that obviously shows us that this particular user has an enormous capacity, and all we're going to do is go in and look at their residential address. So this was an engine that was used this particular website, and that then shows us the asking value for properties in that region. So that's in central London, I think, so probably why that's so high. So then obviously we're plotting this on an engagement timeline. This particular user wasn't highly engaged, as was represented by the graph, but you can see there that they've got their engagement listed there. So if you can get them engaged in whatever it is within your community, then that's going to pronounce those people more and more as highly engaged users. So that's the donor prospecting tab. Obviously down the bottom there we can have different ways of representing this data. So you can see in their groups they have alumni and staff, and that's just their default groupings on their site, but they could have parents, they could have past parents, whoever it is that you want to upload to the potentiality system then become available to use for these statistics. So if we have a look at their staff as an example, they've just got a littering of staff there. Obviously the staff aren't going to be engaged as highly as alumni in the community, and you can see that's represented there, but you can just then switch through and really do some comparisons. If we go back to the alumni, you can see we can actually drop in by decade. So this is the people who left past 2010, and I can actually just scroll through and have a look at each of these regions by selecting them, and then it just gives me all the statistics from those decades. So this is all completely brand new. These panels down the bottom have just been released in the last few days. So any feedback that you guys can give is welcomed. Any other ways you'd like to see to dissect your community, but we're just trying to make it an easy way for you to do analysis on propensity and capacity to give in order to target people for donations. We're going to switch over to the campaign management system now. Are there any questions about that, the donor prospecting tab? And if you do, just type it into the chat window, or if you want to just ask to be unmuted so you can ask the question verbally, please feel free. But whilst I'm waiting for that, we might just start moving on to the campaign management system. So to show a campaign, what I've done is I've logged into one of our demo sites. This is a live campaign system, and actually just to show that it is live, we'll just go through to one of the clients in the UK who's currently using, oops, that's actually not, that's the one I'm after. So this is a client in the UK who's currently using this facility for their what they call the note appeal. So they're selling notes to their piano, and this is their campaign landing page, and you can see someone can just come along, click donate now, choose how they want their donation to appear, leave a message, choose how much they donate, or just select from the drop down, or just type in an amount, and away they go. So that's actually a very raw version of our campaign system, because it has a lot of extra facilities on top of that, and so that's why I've come through to a demo site where we can really get a good feel for what the system can do. So first things first, I've come through to the Payments and Donations tab, and that is available on all your systems, and also on all your systems you'll see the Campaign tab down the bottom. So on the Campaign tab we can either jump to a campaign page or create a new campaign. So you just need to type in the name of a campaign in order to create a new campaign, or we can just jump to the campaign landing page. So a campaign landing page can be inserted into your menu if you like. So in the same way as any item can be inserted into your menu, you can see there that I can just choose campaign page, and then we just put in the campaign ID, and then we just drop that into the menu. So you can make it available to everyone in the community, or you can leave it just so that only administrators can access it, or you can actually put it in the menu system and just set the visibility to administrators only. So it's completely up to you how you control the visibility of that campaign. I've used in this demo site the note appeal again as the example. Obviously we have a little edit icon here, so that's just for administrators to go in and just give it your own look and feel, upload information about the campaign, put an image there like you've seen, and do whatever you like really. And as I close that, we can then see all the other information. So this is again just a public view, but this is a logged in public view. So the only thing that's different here for an administrator are the little edit icons and the campaign administration tab, which we'll go through in a couple of minutes. So down the bottom you can see we've got current donations. So these are all the donations that have been made to this particular campaign. We've got a leaderboard that can be enabled or disabled, and obviously that's showing the fundraisers. So this is the interesting thing about this system. This isn't just about a campaign and raising money. This is about crowd fundraising. So if you actually see over on the right hand side here, we have a list of people who are fundraising for this campaign, and this is the amount of money that they've raised. So this isn't that Vanessa has donated $5,000, it's that she has gone out and fundraised for this campaign, and collectively she has received over $5,000 worth of donations. We can not only do a leaderboard individually, but you can do a peer group leaderboard if you like. So you can see we've got a 1985 peer group leaderboard versus a 1995 leaderboard. You can also do things like schoolhouses or any other way that you want to try and divide up the fundraisers so that you really just get that sense of competition. And obviously if you can get a sense of competition for a campaign, it's going to do fantastic things for that campaign. So down the bottom we've got help promote this campaign. That's the Facebook integration. You can see we've got me and 3 others have recommended this campaign. What it means is if someone clicks on the recommend link, then their face appears on that what's called a face wall. So it gives them that recognition that they're helping promote that campaign. But obviously if they do click on recommend, then it promotes that campaign to all their friends on Facebook. So it's just a way of trying to use Facebook as a mechanism to get people get awareness of the campaign. Scrolling up, you can see on the right-hand side, again, we've got the Donate Now button. That's obviously configurable, so you can collect whatever you want. So you can see the little edit icon if you want to leave a last message there as they're donating. Campaign information displayed, a nice little thermometer which you can enable or disable, and the list of fundraisers. So just having a look at the fundraisers, I can just click on Ken's page. You see there's a View Page link, and so this is his page. So he becomes a fundraiser for the campaign, and you can see on this demo campaign he's received two donations, and we've got the campaign page here for Ken, and Ken can go in and create his own little description here. So he can talk about why he's being a part of this campaign and you know, give it that sense of the personal touch for him. He can also go into the campaign administration and just set his own personal targets. So these are his personal targets on the right, and then the full campaign targets on the left. He gets his own Facebook recommendation and his own link to direct people to. So really what we're trying to do there is just give people as much, you know, the fundraisers, give them as much of a personal touch as we possibly can, so that they're really feeling as if it's their campaign. So coming through to the campaign administration, this is where you can configure a campaign to run exactly how you want it to. So we've got campaign ID, campaign name, start date. You can just pick a start date for the campaign, end date, target, landing page privacy. So you can say who can view the landing page of this event. You can show the donation list or hide the donation list, show the leaderboard, show the peer leaderboard, custom leaderboard, so that was the house we used as an example. But you know, it's really any type of leaderboard that you want to display there, and you can enable or disable the thermometer. To add a new a fundraiser, we can just do a search on the database and choose someone, click add, and that then just reloads the list of fundraisers. So it's very simple just to build your list of fundraisers. For example, one of our clients in Canberra at the moment is using this system to run their bike ride. So they've got a charity bike ride, and every single one of the riders becomes a fundraiser. So they're using our event management system to get people to register to be a rider, and then the administrator just comes in and adds that person to the list of fundraisers, and then they get their own sub-page. So some of the configurations that you can do here, obviously different campaigns are going to run very differently, so you need to be able to configure each campaign quite specifically. You can see we can override the default notification header, so if you'd like to send all communications regarding this campaign with a different header, then you can just type it in there. Also, so that would be the receipts and things like that have a specific header to do with that campaign. You can add custom text to the receipt or the ticket. So what that means is that you can put in a thank you or any further instructions or anything you like that gets sent out with that particular ticket or receipt. Override the ABN. I mean, if you have a particular charity that needs to have a different ABN, that's fine, and you can even override the institution name so that it looks to be coming from someone completely different. So it just obviously we're trying to make it as configurable as we can to run any type of campaign. And again, you know, everything here has been created upon request from our clients, and you know, just creating one facility from a request from one client means that it's then available to all our clients. So any feedback you guys can give as to the different you know, different options that you'd like available, just let us know, and we'll build it in. So then we've got a list there of all the donations. Obviously you can generate a receipt if you want, or just view the information that was submitted when they made that donation. And that's it. So that's the campaign management system, and that's obviously a pretty solid run through of that particular part of the product. I mean, there's obviously other things that tie into that, such as the event system, but we'll just try and keep this a little bit focused because we've just hit the half-hour mark. So are there any other questions? And again, obviously, what I might try and do now is actually bring the microphones unmuted, and so if you have any questions, we can just... Oops. Okay, so guys, we've got you off mute again. Are there any questions anyone has? No? Okay. I've just noticed there is quite a heavy echo coming in from somewhere there, so I will just mute that again. So look, thanks guys for your time. If you do have any questions and you don't want to type it in the chat window, just send it through via email, and we can then you know, answer that via email. So thanks very much for your time, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.